발생했습니다.
너 꼼짝으로 잠깐 있어?
Hello, and welcome to Viva La Action, the action movie podcast where we're talking about all things action movies. I didn't do the intro right, but that's okay.
That's
we
fine.
talk about good, bad, and underrated action movies. My name is Santi, and with me as always is my co-host, it's Grace.
Hello, that's me.
I picked up momentum as that went.
Yeah, you did.
I already asked you this, but what's going on? What's cracking? What's up? What's hip? What's cool? Fat cat?
Not much. Just chilling, killing, vibing.
Nice. I have to cut
You?
that yawn out now, so thanks for that.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I gotta stop yawning.
Stop fucking yawning.
Hey, what's up with you?
Nothing. Just chilling.
Did work cool down a little bit after the whole balloon fiesta?
Yes, thankfully.
Excellent.
I'm still, because I work in retail, I'm still fielding the dumbest people on earth asking me the stupidest thing you've ever heard in your life. But
Yeah.
no offense to the good people of these United States, but
Jeez Louise.
some of y'all be dumber than a bag of rocks.
Yeah.
But you know who's not dumber than a bag of rocks? All the good people who have subscribed to our YouTube channel over the past week. For some reason, YouTube's just been very nice to us, and our videos have been doing decently well. So since I feel like this might be, a couple of people's first time listening to this show, or we might have a couple of new listeners. I wanted to take a minute and explain what this show is, because I feel like we haven't done that in a while.
Yeah.
So if you've never heard this show before, basically what we do here is every episode we take a new film. It's all action movies. That's all we talk about. So we pick a new action movie that usually I've seen and usually you haven't. Although sometimes I also haven't seen the movie before.
Yeah.
And we pick it apart. We talk about the movie's plot. We talk about its background. We talk about the action scenes, whether or not they work for us. We give it a nice review. Normally we split the show into two sections, so we talk a little bit without spoiling the movie, and then later in the show we just spoil the shit out of it. Sometimes we go off on tangents and we talk about I don't know, our nightmares or
True.
Supernatural, or
It comes up way too often.
way more than you'd think.
Yeah, we gotta stop talking about Supernatural.
We probably do, but you know what? That's why they're here.
Exactly.
So that's the show, basically. And this week is no different. We watched. Hold on, let me start that sentence again.
You got it.
Oh,
Go again.
okay.
You got it.
I'm tired.
Me too.
This week, we watched Train to Busan, the 2016 Korean zombie action film, directed by, and I should say before I start pronouncing things, everybody in this movie is Korean, so there's going to be a lot of Korean names that I'm going to attempt to pronounce.
Yeah.
If I was Korean, these names would not be hard for me to pronounce, but I am not Korean.
Clearly.
I'm a little white boy from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
You are not even a white boy.
I'm a half white boy from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
You are more brown than white.
Listen. One thing
I'm
to
a
know,
little white boy. White person.
You're a little white person. I will dox you. One thing to note before I start butchering some names. In Korean, like in a lot of Asian countries, the surname is actually the first name. So like your family name is usually comes before your given name. So I will try my best to refer to people by like what we would call their first name, so like their given name. I may mess up, but just be aware of that.
I did
So
not actually know that.
yeah, it's very interesting. Korean names are also, or South Korean names are also interesting. I can't speak for North Korea because I know very little about it, but South Korea, there are fewer like family names for a variety of historical reasons. So you're going to hear a lot of Parks, you're going to hear a lot of Kims. There's nothing really else to say about it, but just be aware of that. Um, but like I said, the family name is usually the first name. So as we continue, I'll try my best to refer to you by your given name. Um, if you're listening to this, director or stars of this film, um,
Imagine if they did. That'd be fucking crazy.
they would be so confused.
They would be wildly confused. Yes.
Yeah, they'd be like, "What's an Albuquerque?" But anyway,
Yeah.
what I was trying to say is this movie's directed by Yeon Sang Ho, and it has a script that was written by Park Ju Suk. The film stars Gong Yoo, Young Yu Mi, Ma Dong Sok, Kim Soo An, and Choi Woo Shik. Okay, we got them out of the way. We're good.
Nailed it.
And we'll go back through and I'll explain who those people are and what characters they play. The film carries a 95% rating on Rotten Tomatoes with an 89% audience score. I wrote a question mark to this statement, but I think this might be the highest rated movie we've talked about in terms of the Rotten Tomatoes score. I can't really think of a movie that might be higher. The only one I could think of was possibly Rogue One, because I think that has like a 90 something or an 80 something. But
yeah,
this is the closest we've come to 100%. So that's cool.
Hell yeah.
The film passes the Bechdel test.
It does. Yes, it does.
Which, again, if you're a new listener, basically the Bechdel test it's a very simple 3-step test to just see, kind of gauge the representation in your film in terms of gender dynamics. And the test has 3 questions. Is there more than one woman?
Yes.
Or is there more than one named female character?
Yes.
Do those named female characters speak to each other?
Yes.
And do they speak to each other about something that is not a man?
Yes.
This movie passes all 3. Granted, one of the women is a very small child, but regardless,
yeah,
she does a great job.
Still checks out.
Still checks out. And finally, I will belch. Finally, the plot synopsis from IMDb. While a zombie virus breaks out in South Korea, passengers struggle to survive on the train from Seoul to Busan. That's pretty much it. Now that I've got that all out of the way, what did you think of this movie?
It was very good. A real bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad, but very good.
Yes. We won't spoil why it's a big bummer, but it's a zombie movie. I think you can guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what? Just overall, I don't know. How many zombie movies have you seen?
Let's see. I've seen Warm Bodies.
Okay.
That's a great movie.
I've never seen it.
It's very silly. It's like it's a zombie romance movie. Very interesting, very funny. I've seen oh fuck. Is it World War Z?
The Brad Pitt one?
I think so. Is it the one where they climb over the fucking wall?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I've seen that one. And I think that's it. Warm Bodies and World War Z.
Okay.
Two wildly different.
Yes. So how does this rank for you among like zombie movies, I guess.
I still think Warm Bodies is my favorite zombie movie,
Okay.
and I think this one is right beneath it.
Okay. All
So
right.
it's like a very close second because they're two, different
Mm-hmm.
styles, two very different like tones.
Yeah.
Um, and they're both very, very good.
Yeah. I this is my like for me whenever I'm like talking to people about like movies, this is one of those movies that I feel like I can recommend to almost anybody.
Yeah,
Like it's just a good movie,
yeah,
and even though it is kind of dour, like especially towards the end, again without really spoiling it yet, um I still think you could put this on for pretty much anybody as long as they have like a little bit of stomach for some blood.
yeah,
Um they would enjoy this movie. Like everybody that I've told to watch this movie has come back and said that they enjoyed it. So, um, and I think too, this is a good kind of movie to introduce you to like Korean cinema because it is a little bit more like it's one of those movies that translates, I guess, pretty well to like an American audience because there's not too many things that you have to like figure out, I guess,
yeah,
in terms of like cultural differences. Like it's a bunch of people on a train. We have trains, and
yep,
it's zombies, and you can understand what a zombie is.
yep,
Um, so I think, yeah, it's just this movie for me is just it's like solid. Like this is like an
yep,
oak tree movie. It's like,
yeah,
is it going to change your life? Probably not. But you could watch every time I've watched this, I've enjoyed it. Like it never gets old for me. Um, and it's just fucking pitch perfect. Like in terms of tone, I
yep,
think it's just like immaculate. Like it's got touches of humor, it's got touches of like, humanity. There's
yep,
moments in this movie that legitimately make me cry.
yep,
Like it's a good movie. Um and yeah, I think you can't go wrong with this one. Um yeah, it's just a banger of a movie.
yeah. It is really good, and yeah, and it does a really fantastic job of like just like keeping you afraid the entire time
Yes.
and
Yeah.
just like on the edge of your seat, which makes everything that happens just that much more sad.
Yeah, and I think it does a good job too of like ramping up. Like, because I feel like with a lot of zombie movies, like in particular something like World War Z, I feel like they peak early, and then after
Yeah,
that, it's kind of hard to keep up like the tension.
yeah,
Um, but with this movie, what I think it does a good job of is it starts off very slowly. Like, there's a good, I want to say 20 minutes where there are no zombies.
hmm,
Um, but then like once it hits, it just fucking goes.
yeah,
Um, and there's very little like downtime in this movie. Like there's moments of levity and there's moments where like you can kind of breathe with the characters,
yeah,
but it from there it does not like give you time to like think. It's just
no, yeah,
like there's a moment very early where it's like there is one zombie on this train and then it just erupts into fucking like all of a
chaos.
sudden there's just people getting trampled, there's like just nonsense happening. um yeah, it's just like you said, it's like it really does a good job with like the tension, keeping you afraid at all times. And what I think it does really really well is it doesn't focus on like it's this obviously this like world shattering thing that's happening, right?
Yeah,
But we're not worried about the whole world. We're focusing on like five people and their
yes,
plight to survive. And I think that's kind of the smart thing that this movie does is like it takes the whole world and just kind of condenses it into one train. And you're worried about the survival of this like half a dozen people.
yeah,
Um, and that's pretty much it. And from there, you just kind of like, all right, like we just want these, it humanizes these people enough that you're like, I want them to survive.
yeah,
Um, And it doesn't overcomplicate them either. Like the main character is this, kind of deadbeat dad, but it gives you reasons to sympathize for him
Yeah.
without like making you hate him. Like especially by the end of the movie, you're really on his side and you want him to get out of there.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that more in spoilers. Before we get into that, is there anything else you wanted to say before we start spoiling the film?
Nope.
Okay. So,
Yep.
given that, would you recommend somebody watch this movie?
Yes. 100%. It's very good. And yeah, like you said, it's a good introduction to Korean, because I think, is this the second Korean film I've seen?
Maybe.
I can't remember. Maybe. I can't remember. It's very good. It's a solid, like, for its genre, like zombie movie. It's a very good zombie movie. Yeah, I would recommend it.
Sweet. Me too. Like
Yeah.
I can't really. I think the only thing that would put me off of recommending this is if you are extremely squeamish. Like
Yes.
if you cannot even handle, because there's really not a lot of gore in this.
No.
There is a little bit of like flesh being pulled,
Yeah.
but that's kind of it. Like there's some limbs that are kind of wobbly and stuff, but there's no point where you're like, ew, it's kind of
Yeah.
just like blood mostly.
Yeah.
So I would say, unless you are extremely squeamish,
Yeah.
I would 1000% recommend this movie. Or if you're racist, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
If you're racist, then you probably. But why are you listening to this anyway? Don't you have a
True.
clan meeting to go to? I don't know.
Yeah, honestly.
Okay, spoiler time. Big
Yep.
spoilers. Spoiling it all. Pretty much
Yep.
everybody dies.
Yeah. It's a real bummer.
It's a real bummer. So one thing I wanted to say before, like if you're still listening for some reason and you don't mind spoilers, if there is one thing that I could say to sell you on this movie, there is a scene where 3 men have to fight their way across 4 train cars, and one of those men is armed with just his fists.
Yep.
And he punches about 100 zombies.
Honestly, it's amazing.
Yeah. My sexuality is women and that guy. Like, that's it.
Yep. Yeah. Nah, he was something else. And then he died.
Yeah.
And I was real sad about it.
Yes. So that man, the actor's name, his name is Ma Dong-sok. He sometimes goes by Don Lee, which is kind of just like a lot of times with Asian born actors, they will oftentimes like have like a name that they use in Hollywood, just because of the way that Hollywood is kind of prejudiced against what we consider hard to pronounce names.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, Ma Dong-sok is not a hard
No.
name to pronounce. If you're struggling to pronounce that, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
But he sometimes goes by Don Lee. He has often been called like Korea's most bankable star. And it's mostly because of this movie. Like he's kind of the breakout star of this film. He's been in a lot of other films since then that have done really well. But he always
familiar. Have I seen him in anything else?
He's in the Eternals. I don't know if you've seen the Eternals. You might have just seen the ads for it.
Probably.
He's been in a bunch of stuff. Like he's been in a lot of American films. He's been in a lot of Korean films. He's big in Japan. He's just one of those guys. And I think the reason he stands out in this movie as being like just a highlight is because he is so fucking likable. Like,
yeah,
the minute you meet him, you love him. Like, he's just like, he's this big, like, teddy bear, like he's obviously like this fearsome, courageous guy, but he's just like, he's one of those men where he's like this big, like, galoot, but he
Yeah.
just loves his wife. Like, he just
Yep.
loves his wife so much. And
Hmm.
the fact that he doesn't even think about like fighting his way across 4 train cars full of zombies is just amazing. And I just love him so much.
Yeah. And his dynamic with the main guy,
Yeah.
I think, is very funny because I think they initially they absolutely do hate each other.
Yeah.
Um, because the main character, he's like a fund manager or some shit.
Yeah.
Uh, and this guy, he's like, oh yeah, they're leeches and all that.
Mhm.
Um, but then by the end of it, they're friends and they just kind of like neg each other,
Yeah.
which it's very funny.
Yeah. I do like that immediately, like, Ma Dong Seok's character is just like calling that other guy an asshole, and he's
Yep.
like, "You're like a fucking wimp." Like,
Yep.
but I do like one of the things I like about this movie is that, like, I feel like the attitudes of the characters, they feel real in the context of the movie, in terms of, like, the guy who is the main character, who his actor is Gong Yu. um he doesn't, like, you would never look at that guy and be like, he can fight off a bunch of zombies, right?
Yeah.
And in a way, he's not like a fighter, like, he's not very physically fit or anything like that. But when the chips are down and he has to go get his daughter, you do believe that he would team up with this other guy who hates him because
Yeah.
they have, the same goal, which
Yeah.
is go get the people that they love. Like, I to me that feels real, where you're like, because I've been in situations where I'm working with somebody, or like, it happens in like college all the time, where like
Yeah.
you're paired up with some asshole that you're just like, I hate this guy, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But you have to work together to achieve a certain thing.
Yeah.
And I do like that when the chips are down, they're like, okay, like, this is
Fuck
what we're
it.
doing.
Yeah.
And I think the other most believable character is that horrible man who
Oh.
finally gets eaten, which is
Yeah.
just great. But for a
Yeah.
long time, you're just like, I fucking hate that guy.
I know. And what really pissed me off is that people kept siding with him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, do you not see what he's trying to do?
Mhm.
Like, he's clearly so selfish and
Mhm.
only gives a fuck about himself.
Yeah.
Kick him off. Feed him to the zombies.
Right.
He's
Exactly.
a dickhead.
Yeah. I like it because it is that thing of like, there is always somebody like that. Like, no matter what situation you're in or where you are, there is some fucking spineless coward who
Yeah.
is just like, I don't care about anybody else. Put me on that train and send it off. Like, he's like, I don't care who dies. Like, and I fucking hate that guy. But at the same
Same.
time, you're like, who knows who that guy is when the chips are down? Like, any of us could be that guy,
Yeah.
Like, I'd like to think I would tape up my arms and punch a bunch of zombies, but
Same.
at the same time,
I'd
honestly,
probably
go ahead.
I'd probably piss myself.
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
like, nah, somebody else can handle that.
Yeah. I was going to say, this movie is like, because there's like, if you look at like the spectrum of zombie movies, right? There are like different kinds of zombies, right? And on the one end of the spectrum, you've got like The Walking Dead, where
Yeah.
it's these super slow moving, barely a threat unless they're in a group, like
Yeah.
zombies, where it's like, if you just go at a slight walking pace, you'll probably outrun them.
Yeah.
That's on one end of the spectrum. On the other end of the spectrum is like Left 4 Dead, where there's like, fast zombies, but there's also like exploding zombies and like, whatever.
Tanks and witches and
Yeah. This is kind of somewhere in between, where
yeah.
these zombies, like, one-on-one, are probably not that dangerous if you can stay away from their teeth.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, this is my worst nightmare, where
Yeah.
they can run Like,
Yep. And they have no regard for themselves.
right.
And so they just climb over each other
Mhm.
and hang on to each other, and they do anything in their power to get to you.
Yes,
And it's
exactly.
terrifying.
It is terrifying, and I think if the chips were down and I was in a populated like urban center and I saw a horde of zombies running at me, I am going to lay on the floor and let them eat me.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I am
But,
not
like,
running for the rest of my life. I'd be like, never mind. I'm gonna
yeah.
lay down.
If you can't beat them, join them.
Yeah, might as well. I'm just like, you know what?
Yeah. No, yeah, I agree. People was like, "Oh, what would you do in a zombie apocalypse? Die?
Yeah, yeah.
I would be dead."
Yeah. I would be the guy in the zombie apocalypse who's like, everybody's like, we've got no way to escape. Like, how do we get out of here? I'm like, give me the bag of grenades. I will wait until all the zombies come after me and then I will explode. I'm happy
Yeah.
to do that because I don't want to deal with this crap.
Yep. Yep.
It's not
Same.
bravery, it's
Nope.
laziness. I'm just
Yep.
like,
Yep. Yep. No, I feel you. I'm the same way.
I'm happy to
I'd be pulling the pins.
yeah. I'd wrap a string around all the pins and pull them all at once. That's what I would do.
Yep.
I'd be like, I don't even care if I take out any zombies along the way. I just need to go.
Yep. Yep.
But I do like you pointed it out. What I like about the zombies in this movie is, and we've seen it a couple times in other zombie media, but I like that they are this like ravenous thing to the point to where they don't give a shit if they hurt themselves.
Yep.
And you see it over and over. What I think is really fun is like there's moments where like there's that scene where they have arrived at like a train station, right? And everybody gets off because they think like, oh, we're safe in this city, the military's here. But then they have to like run back to the train.
Yeah.
And there's a scene where there's a bunch of zombies in like a window and they're like pressing up against it, and then the window breaks and they all fall onto the train.
Yep.
And then you see there's one zombie who's like chasing an old lady and his arm is like broken and it's
Yeah.
just like waggling behind him. I thought
Yeah, it's like all the way behind his head.
Yeah. I love that because I just love
it's
the
great,
idea
yeah.
that they're just like, because the reality is like if this were a virus or something and it's this parasite that is just using your body, like they wouldn't give a shit if their
No.
arm was broken. It'd just be like, I don't feel pain. I'm just running,
Yeah.
at you.
Well, yeah, there's actually, this is a terrifying fact. There's I don't know if you've heard about this. It's like a fungus
Oh yeah.
that will take over an ant,
Mhm.
and it takes over the entire ant's like nervous system, and the ant will then just like anchor itself to
Yeah.
like a tree or something, and then the fungus just like grows out of its body and then shoots a bunch of spores out and infects more. And yeah, the ant can't feel shit.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel pain anymore at that point.
Right.
And I think I feel like most zombies in like zombie media, I think it's just assumed that the virus just shuts your nervous system down and you can't feel pain, which would make sense.
Yeah.
I also like that we never figure out how to kill these things,
Yeah.
because it's not like, because in Left 4 Dead you just shoot them. As long as
Right.
you hit them, they die. Other media, it's like, oh, you got to get a headshot or whatever. In this, I don't even think we ever see one die.
No, I think for the most part, nobody really tries to kill the zombies. They're mostly just getting them out of the way.
Yeah.
Like, in that scene we were talking about earlier where they're in train car 9 and they need to get to train car 13. There's a guy with a baseball bat, but he's really just swatting them out of the way. Like, you see them fall and then get back up. Like there's no point where you're like, oh, if you hit them in the head, they die, right? It's just kind of
Yeah.
like, well, now their head is facing backwards. Like it's not like,
Yeah.
there's no point where one like explodes. I mean, I think a few get hit by a train, but
Well, yeah.
yeah, you really don't. There is really no indication of like how to kill this particular kind of zombie. I also like that they don't explain what caused it. Like
Yeah.
there's a little bit of hint that it could be a virus or it could be a chemical thing or like whatever. But there's never a point where like a bunch of scientists sit down and they're like, it's AIDS, it's crazy AIDS or whatever. It's just like
Yeah.
they're just like, it's I who knows, who cares? Because you're not from the perspective of the people in charge. You're from the
Right.
perspective of like the people on the ground. And I think one of the things that makes this movie cool is when we first see the zombie thing starting to happen, it happens really slowly because most people are not focused on other people. Like
No.
what's really realistic about this movie is that like the first time, a zombie runs onto the train, it's that lady who's been bit. People are just like, I don't know, it's just some weird lady. Like who cares?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
that guy is focused on getting his daughter on the train. This other guy's
Yep.
focused on his wife peeing. It's like
Yeah.
they don't care about some lady. They're just like,
No.
whatever. And the first time a zombie bites somebody, they're just like, well, that's probably just a crazy homeless person. Like, we see
Yeah.
that all the time. In reality,
Yep.
you're just like, oh, somebody got bit by a dude because he was on drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
And as it escalates, there's that like feeling that people are like, oh, this must be huge. But there's never an indication that like they would know that, because of course they wouldn't. Like,
Yeah.
it's going to escalate eventually.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, it's just a few isolated things.
Right.
And
like the fish and the deer.
right, exactly. And
Uh,
and because they're on this train, like they don't know what's going on in the rest of the world. Like
no.
they see a little bit of news footage and they see some stuff, but they're not like, you would never assume like, oh, a zombie outbreak has happened, right? You would just be like,
Right.
it's just a riot, or it's just a whatever. Like
Yeah.
you're not
Well, and
going to
that's
think,
what they thought it was at first, because the main character, he kept getting people were saying, "Oh yeah, there's people rioting outside our building, yada yada."
Mhm.
So yeah, he just thought it was a riot.
right.
And yeah, it wasn't until like there was like actual like people were realizing, oh, this isn't just like people going crazy. This is like a legit threat.
Yeah.
That they're like, not a riot.
Yeah, it's yeah. I like the way it escalates. I think it's like it feels real, I guess.
Yeah.
Um
Well, and I mean, look at what actually happened in the world the last
Yeah.
4 years.
exactly.
Nobody gives a shit.
Right.
There are some people that give a shit, and they do everything in their power to, make sure that they're not spreading the virus, but also helping others.
Yeah.
And then there are some people that are just like, no, fuck you.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Right? Like yeah. Well, one thing, so I haven't really talked about the background of the movie at all, but there's a couple of cool things. Like this movie was by our standards, this is a really cheap movie. So
Really?
this was made for a budget of around 8 million US dollars.
Whoa.
I did not see what that was in Korean currency. I just saw it like in USD, but for reference, that's like less than the budget of the first John Wick movie.
Wow.
So super tiny budget. But it cleaned up. It made over $95 million worldwide. For reference, that's like over 10 times its budget.
You said it was 8 million USD?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Okay, hold on. 100,000. It's 10.7 billion South Korean won.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, but it just cleaned up. $95 million US. in terms of
That's
its
impressive.
return. Yeah, that's very impressive. This movie also got kind of a bigger following because it was put on Netflix. So it had like this wide kind of distribution that you don't often see with, um, foreign films of this kind. Um, the movement of the zombies was actually choreographed by a woman named J.N. Park. Um, and the movement was kind of inspired by like modern dance. Like the way that they move is kind of this like weird, like, wobbly kind of whatever. But it was also inspired by some other horror movies, including Silent Hill, um, from 2006. And there's like these, I've never seen the movie, but I guess there's these nurses in the film that have this kind of weird like way that they move. Um, and so they were kind of inspired by that. Um, and I did think that the way that the zombies moved was terrifying.
Oh, it was the worst.
I like that they kind of lead with their head, like, because they're like
Yes.
chompy, right? So
Mhm.
we don't think about like, the zombie thing is like we think of them as like this, but I like that they are kind of running at you like a fish, like they're just like,
Yeah, this is the Naruto run.
yeah.
Yeah, which is arguably the most terrifying thing.
Yeah, I again, I can't emphasize it enough. I would just lay down and die. I'm
Yeah.
not getting up for this kind of zombie.
Well, and even just the way they like, because like when a lot of the times the zombies would like get up off of the ground, like it just was unsettling.
Yeah.
Like their joints moved independently almost of each
Yeah.
other, and it was very jerky.
Right.
And then they just fucking run at you.
Yeah. I would not know what to do.
No, I would cry.
Yeah, I would just lay on the floor.
No.
I'm not exaggerating. Like I am not dealing with this. Like I
No, hell no. Like, good on these people for like trying to do something, but fuck.
Yeah, no, not me. Couldn't be
Nope.
me.
Nope.
Um
I'd be
so
that old lady that just fucking opens the door
oh yeah, me
and
too.
lets them all in.
Yep.
Fuck
I would
it, you know?
just let them eat me. I'd be like,
Yeah.
whatever. They can take me and you as far as I'm concerned. Like,
Yeah.
um speaking of the zombies, so the look of the zombies, for the most part was done practically, um with the exception of like the dude with the waggly arm, like that was a
Yeah.
prosthetic or whatever, but
Yeah.
um like the makeup effects were all done like in camera. So they had a makeup artist, and they had like a team of them who, like, when you had like a big group of zombies, they would basically just like line everybody up and then like do this like production line of makeup. And they did like an interesting thing where like you can kind of see like the blood vessels like in their
Yeah.
face. And that was all done like with an airbrush.
Oh.
Um and one of the things I thought was interesting was they talked about how like as the infection progresses, they kind of changed the look of the makeup. So like the older zombies that you encounter, like those soldiers in the train station, like they look different than a zombie who's been freshly infected.
Yeah.
Like the fresh ones kind of look more human, whereas the like older ones, they start to look more rotten, like they're more like, decomposed almost.
Yeah.
Um, which I just thought was interesting. Like a lot of,
Yeah.
they obviously put a lot of thought into it. Um, and then one of the things I thought was interesting is like, so the train itself, a lot of the train sequences look very good. Um, which is unique for, because like I feel like a lot of times when you have like a movie that is set like on a moving vehicle, the outside part looks bad.
Yeah.
Like, because they just CGI it. Like they just put like
Right.
a, whatever. But the reason this one looks good is they actually kind of they did this very old school thing where the inside was like a set, right? So like the train was like manufactured,
Yeah.
but then what you're seeing outside the windows is like a projection. So instead of it being like just shot on a green screen, they had these big LED screens, playing footage that people had actually shot on a train.
Wow.
So the movement was like much more realistic to like what a train would look like when you're on it.
Right.
And so those scenes were like, they're on the train and it goes into a tunnel. It looks amazing because they just shot footage and then projected it on these huge LED screens. So you had kind of a realistic lighting setup, and it wasn't like, it was easier to control, obviously, but it feels more like you're in the room with them as opposed to like Mission Impossible, for example, when we watched it
Yeah.
the other week, where it just looks like they're in a fucking cutscene from a PS2 game.
Yep.
I just thought that was very interesting. And if anybody's curious, I know some people are already screaming this. It's a very similar way to how they shoot The Mandalorian. If you don't know, the majority of The Mandalorian is not shot on a green screen. It is shot on something called the volume, which is it's basically this room that like 2/3 of it are just an LED screen. And it's kind of wrapped. So it's kind of like a, half circle kind of thing. And they will put in pieces of set, right? But then the rest of it is an LED screen that they run like a Unreal Engine created background on.
Oh.
And because they're these super powerful LED screens, what you're watching is like a real actor against a digital background, but it's not composited in. It's like actually there, if that makes sense.
So the actor can see it too?
Yeah. So it's like all
Oh.
there. And it's like, it is more or less timed to the movement of the actor. So like if the camera pans around, the background pans with it. And so it has this much. That's why The Mandalorian, generally speaking, looks so good, because it's not green screen. It's this like new thing that they have. That is all to say, this movie was shot very similarly, where it's not green screen. It's this like other technology.
That's pretty
That's
cool.
Just a bit of tidbit for you. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Fascinating.
That's also why it's lit so well.
I was gonna say the lighting in this movie is fantastic.
It is fantastic.
I think the tunnel scenes are my favorite.
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Where they're going through and there's just like those like flashes of light. Oh.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see shit.
Yes.
They're going through the tunnel. It's not just pitch black. You can see shit.
Yeah, this movie is very well lit. Like, I was watching it at like 9 a.m. when the sun is just shooting through my window and I can barely see my TV screen. I can still see this movie perfectly. Take a lesson, American filmmakers. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a good movie.
It's very good. And yeah, it's a real bummer because like because there's like those three guys, right? There's what are their characters' names?
I can find out for you.
Because there's the main character, there's the other guy who is the husband to the pregnant lady.
Yeah.
And then there's like the baseball kid.
Yeah. So the main character, who's played by Gong Yu, his character's name is Sok Woo. Ma Dong Sok, who's the big beautiful man we were talking about before, his character's name is Song Hwa. And then the baseball player, who's played by Choi Woo Shik, his character's name is Min Young Guk. Min Young Guk. Guk. Yeah. So Young Guk, I forgot the other two. Sok Woo and Song Hwa. Yeah.
Okay.
But Song Woo or Sok Woo is the main character.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, those three, like, they're surviving.
Yeah.
And the first to go, you just said all of their names.
I believe the first to go is Song Hwa.
Yes.
The big guy.
Yeah. Yes. He is the first to go. That was a horrible bummer.
Yes.
Because I honestly thought, and the reason he died was because of that horrible piece of shit man, the
Yes.
CEO of whatever the fuck. I hated him.
Yeah, he sucks.
He was the worst. Um, and after he like got turned, I was like, oh, it's gonna be one of those movies,
Yeah.
right? And at that point, I was like, okay, as long as this main character guy like survives, I'll be okay. That doesn't
Nope.
happen because the horrible man gets turned and then bites him.
Yep.
And during that entire scene, I was like, please just throw him over.
Hmm.
I was hoping that he would just like throw him over and everything would be okay. It was not okay.
No, it was not. Uh,
It's like a Les Mis situation.
it's a real bummer.
I was mad about it.
Yeah, it sucks, but I like at least that two people make it out. Like sometimes I worry
Yeah.
with these movies, like nobody's gonna live.
Yeah.
Um, I'm glad the pregnant lady made it out against all odds. Um, and I'm glad that the daughter made it out.
Yeah. She's gonna be traumatized for the
Oh,
rest of her life, though.
yeah, she's gonna be fucked up.
Yeah.
So the daughter, she is played by, if you'll give me a moment, uh, I believe her name is Kim Soo An. Her character's name is also Kim Soo An.
Oh.
And I think they did that just because she's very, very young in this movie,
Yeah.
and it would just been easier for her. But being that she is very young in this, I mean, I don't know how old she is, but she can't be older than like 9. She's fucking phenomenal. Like I've
Oh, she
never
did a-
seen a kid actress be that good.
I know. She
Um,
was phenomenal. Like that end scene when her dad like dies.
mhm.
Just like the raw emotion that she was having, I was like, this kid's going places.
Yeah, she is phenomenal. Like she's genuinely very good. Like
Yeah.
kid actors can sometimes be very annoying. Not only is she not annoying, she is like she's just great. She's just like
Yeah.
you believe her emotions. Like
Yeah.
she's very good at conveying like mixed emotions, which like
Yeah.
is hard for adults to do. But
Yeah.
like she's good at conveying like sadness and relief and like all these different things. Um, yeah, she's just spectacular. Um, yeah, I there's really nothing else to say about her. She's just really good.
Yeah. No, she's fantastic. I honestly thought when the pregnant lady and her were walking through the tunnel
Yeah.
and those soldiers saw her or saw them, I thought they were gonna die. Like at this point, I was like, well, everybody else has died, so yep, just put a couple of bullets in them and
Yeah.
call it a day. I genuinely thought they were gonna die.
They were just gonna get lit up.
Yeah. Thank God she was singing though.
Oh yeah, I know. Um, so there is a sequel to this movie. Speaking of the soldiers, the sequel is called Peninsula. Um,
Oh.
I have not seen it. It is not as well regarded. It does have its fans, but the sequel actually follows like a soldier who is like caught in the middle of everything.
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of a different perspective. Like I said, I haven't seen it, so I can't really speak on its quality. I meant to watch it this week because I was like, I should watch it, and like then I could say if it's good or not. But I haven't seen it, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine.
We might watch it next time. We'll find out. But yeah, overall, I think it's just a good movie. It's just a banger.
What's up with the? Because isn't there a 2020 Train to Busan?
So they are actually making. I think it was supposed to be made in 2020, but it got pushed back because of the the stuff that happened in 2020.
What's that?
Nothing serious.
Yeah.
So there is an American remake of Train to Busan, which just my favorite sentence. American remake, just love it. They
Yeah.
always get it right.
They've never gotten anything
They've
wrong
never
ever.
gotten it right. Yeah. um, just okay. Here's a fun little game. Without looking it up, what do you think an American remake of Train to Busan would be called?
Like fucking Train to New York.
That's exactly what it's called.
Let's go. Hell
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, they're making a movie called Train to New York.
Great.
It is an American. I don't know if it's still in production. It was like as of like a year ago. Yeah, it's gonna. And weirdly enough, they got a direct. The guy who's directing it is not American. He's Indonesian. Whatever. It doesn't matter, I
Sure.
guess. But
Yeah.
yeah. So look forward to that. And I'm sure it won't be as good.
Oh no, it's probably gonna be terrible.
Yeah, it'll be ass. But I think that's the one you were looking at because there's Train to Busan, there's Peninsula, and then I think there was like a prequel animated movie,
Oh.
and it's called like Seoul Station or something like that. I haven't seen either of them, but yeah, they are making an American remake of Train to Busan. Unfortunately,
Great.
yeah, I wish Americans would stop remaking things. Like,
Yeah, I just wish Americans would stop.
generally speaking, yes, I wish we would. Because you know what? I feel like it doesn't give enough credit to like we are no longer in like 1970 where like most people won't watch a foreign film. Like I feel like most people now are okay with subtitles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people now
Yeah.
will just watch like look at Squid Game. Squid Game was like worldwide. And
Yep.
most people watched it with subtitles. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like just stop remaking things. Like if you want people to enjoy something, just give it a theatrical release. Like for God's
Yeah.
sake.
And yeah, and if it's like one of these international ones, just put subtitles. Like people can fucking read.
Yes, exactly.
It's hard.
Like imagine if they tried to do like an American remake of like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. You know, like what would they call it? Crouching Puma, Hidden Gun? Like
Probably. I'll give them any ideas because I'll do it.
Crouching Mountain Lion, Hidden Sasquatch. I don't know.
Yeah. It would have Chuck Norris in it for sure.
Oh, absolutely. And he'd be a cowboy.
He would be a cowboy.
Anyway.
Stop it, America.
Just stop it. Stop whatever you're doing right now, stop it. Knock
Cut
it
it
off.
out.
Just stop. Global events we could comment on, but we're not going to. Because we're apolitical this podcast, right?
No.
No, we're not.
No, we're not.
No, I'm not going to say anything.
I'll say it. I'm not a fucking coward. Ow. I'm glad that the writers got what they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Glad they got what they wanted.
They absolutely did.
Yeah.
The day we are recording this, the Actors Guild should be having a meeting
With the MPTP.
Yeah. We'll see how that goes. We should know by later today.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed for a fair deal. We'll find out.
Yeah. What really gets me is that the studios are like, yeah, the AI thing is we have to do that. It's like, do you though?
It's like you really don't. I mean, you could just not like
Yeah, it's it's that easy to just not do it.
I just don't understand. Like maybe I'm just a big dumb idiot, but like I just don't understand how it is cheaper to do a 3D scan of an extra and then pay a VFX artist to put it in a movie than it is to just pay somebody for 1 day of work to be an extra. Like, how is that cheaper? I don't understand.
I also don't get it. I don't understand either.
I don't understand. It's so bizarre. It's just like
very strange.
I don't understand. Like I my feelings on like studio movies over the last like 5 years has just fucking nosedived
Oh, yeah.
because not only do movies, generally speaking, that are made by big studios look terrible, it's like they look bad. They're generally not that entertaining. They're not cheap. Like they're $200 million movies and they're not paying people. So what are you paying for? You're
Yep.
not paying VFX artists. Like
Nope.
you're hiring like 8 of them to do the work of 1,000.
Yep.
They look bad. They're badly written. Who are you paying? And why are they so expensive?
You know who they're paying? The CEOs.
Yes, exactly. It's bizarre. It's just
I
like,
know. Well, and the thing is, like, okay, yeah, you make the movie for $200 million, and it makes, $500 million in the box office.
yeah. I don't get
Where's
it.
that money going?
I don't know. You know what? You know what really speaks to it? Like the best movie that I've seen this year, that came out this year. It's a movie from Finland. It's called, I talked about it very early this year. It's called Sisu, right? It's like SISU.
Yeah.
It's a Finnish action movie. It was made for like $4 million and it looks amazing. Like it's this beautiful movie. It's shot just in these great landscapes, like very little, effects work. Made a ton of money, like internationally. $4 million, whatever it cost. And it
Yeah.
looks better than every big budget film I've seen this year. They've
Yep.
all looked like ass. I don't understand.
I also don't get it. Genuinely, I have no idea what's going on,
I don't know.
and I'm tired of it.
I just don't get it. It's like because they put all this money into like special effects, right? Like VFX.
Yeah.
But the look that they achieve is so bland. It's like, why even try? Like, just it would be cheaper to just go shoot somewhere interesting. Like,
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like,
What happened to like shooting on location?
right. I don't understand. It's so bizarre. I don't know.
Some people's kids.
I know. Fucking who knows. Anyway, I did a big rant again, but
I feel like we gotta have at least one per episode.
at least one. If not, why are you listening otherwise? If you don't want to hear
Yeah.
one of us just go on a tear.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's all I got
No.
on Train to Busan.
that's also all I got. This is a fantastic movie. I really thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's great. And it wraps up our spooky month.
Does.
That's 2 spooky movies in the motherfucking spooky bin.
2 for the price of 1.
2 for the price of 1, which is free.
Exactly.
Oh, I was gonna say this at the start, but I didn't, so I'm gonna say it now. If you're still listening. And if you're still listening along this point, you're more likely to do this anyway. So one of the things we don't do on this show is we don't run ads, right? Like I could if I wanted to, like I could hit the little button that says like run ads on this show. I don't because I hate ads. I hate them.
Too. Me too.
I hate that they interrupt the things I'm watching.
Yep. It makes honestly ads make me want to buy the thing less.
Yes, exactly.
Don't tell me to buy your thing.
Yes.
Okay, if I want to buy it, I will go out of my way to do so.
Absolutely. So
okay, don't you fucking interrupt me while I'm watching my thing.
Exactly.
With Purdue, I don't give a fuck. You shit, Purdue.
Yeah.
Fuck
Purdue. So we don't run ads on this show. We also don't have any sponsorships, right? Like, not that anybody's asking us, but if they did, I'd say no, because I hate ads. I hate them just that much, right? So because of that, the only thing we ask from you, if you're listening to this show, we ask that you share it with people who you know. If you think somebody would enjoy the show, just share it around. That's the best way this show gets to grow. We make no money doing this.
Nope.
In fact, we lose money doing this.
Probably, yeah.
I do.
I've told you multiple times, I will send you money for the shit you buy.
It's fine. It's really not that bad. But even so, you rent the movies, half the
That's
time. So
true.
it's like,
That's true.
all that is to say, if you like this episode, just share it with somebody you know.
Yep.
Put it on Facebook. Just hit that share button. We're gonna tell you again at the end of the episode, but yeah,
Tie
just
somebody to a chair.
yes,
Glue their eyes open.
yes, Clockwork Orange style,
And force them to watch. Or put earbuds in and force them to listen.
Yeah.
However you decide to listen to this show.
Yeah. If you're on a train right now that is not being overrun by zombies, take out an AirPod, and shove it in a stranger's ear.
Yeah.
And just,
hijack the train speaker system.
Yes.
And play us over the speakers of the train.
Absolutely. Okay. Anyway, sorry. I was going to put that at the beginning of the episode, but I'll put it here. So that brings us to everybody's favorite part of the show. That's where you tell me what you thought of the movie and you rate it out of 10. How many running zombies out of 10 do you give this?
9.6.
Damn.
It was very very good.
It is very, very good.
There's not a lot that I could find that bugged me about it.
Okay.
It was very good.
That is your second highest rating ever.
It was my first.
It's still triple R.
Oh.
We really peaked early.
Yeah, that's true. Look, Triple R is just so. If you haven't watched Triple R yet, what's wrong with you?
You should. It's still on Netflix. Why haven't you watched it?
Yeah, it's so good.
It's probably because you got kicked off your Netflix because you're not signed into your Wi-Fi or whatever.
Probably.
That's what happened to me.
Uh-oh.
That's fine. Don't tell Netflix.
Fuck you, Netflix.
Yeah, fuck you, Netflix. Pay your workers, goddammit. Anyway, yeah, what would I give this? I'd give it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10?
Definitely a 9 out of 10. It's just a damn good movie. It's
It really is.
There's very little I could think of to improve it. I can't really think of anything. It's got a great pace. It's got a great tone. You feel for the characters. It really hits you where it hurts,
Yep.
And
even though it's just about 2 hours, it doesn't really feel like 2 hours.
It really doesn't.
Which is nice.
Even the beginning part where there's not a lot happening, it's just a dad and his daughter.
Yeah.
They make it so compelling that you don't notice until you get to the zombie part that there have been no zombies up to that point.
Yeah. I know. It's phenomenal. Really well done.
It's just a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I got.
That's all I got.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the show. Which means that you should tell the people listening what they should do.
Go and like and comment and give us 5 stars on all of the things. Hit up our social medias. We got the Instagrams and the Facebooks and the TikToks.
Yes.
And we have an email. We
do have an email.
Us and just say what's up, or ask a question, or give us a suggestion,
or find us in the street.
Yep.
And hand us a note.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If you happen to be in Albuquerque,
you can find me.
Yeah.
And beat me up. No, don't do that. Yep. Yeah, leave a 5-star review. 5 stars, really, genuinely. I know everybody says this. It does help the show. If you leave a 5-star review, it helps put us into whatever chart of whatever category we're in. Helps get more eyes on the show. Yeah, if you want to help us out, leave a 5-star review. It is so easy to do on Spotify. You literally just tap the 5 stars and that's it.
Yeah. It's so non-committal.
It's really non-committal. Anyway, that's it.
Yep.
Did
And
you
if
tell him?
you're watching this on YouTube, liking it and commenting, just
Yes,
engaging with the video, that also helps.
it does help. And if you leave a comment, I'll respond. I
Yeah,
tend to.
we might even talk about you on the show.
Yeah, especially if you're an asshole.
Yep.
That's not true.
No.
If you're nice, we'll talk about you too.
Yeah.
We'll give you little smooches
All over.
all over your little smoochy face. That's it. That's all I got.
Yep. That's all I got. Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. Oh, we gotta say what we're gonna watch next time.
Oh fuck.
I forgot.
What are we watching next time?
So next month we begin what I have coined as Ronin-vember. So we are going to have a month of samurai cinema, which I'm very excited about. I love samurai movies. So what I'm thinking is we'll watch an older film, and then we'll cap off the month with a newer film, just to kind of get the full spectrum of samurai goodness. So I'm thinking for the next time we record, we will watch. Now you're gonna have to write this down because
I got my notes.
okay, it's called Zatoichi, spelled Zatoichi, Zatoichi, the Blind Swordsman.
The Blind Swordsman. You got a year for me?
Yes. Now, the reason I'm going to tell you exactly which one to watch is because there's about 30 of these movies.
Whoa.
Let's see. Give me a minute. Okay, actually, so it's called The Tale of Zatoichi is the first one.
The Tale of... And is it not The Blind Swordsman?
He is a blind swordsman, but that is not part of the title.
Okay, so it's just The Tale of Zatoichi.
Yes.
Okay.
And it is from 1962.
1962. Copy.
I think that makes it the oldest movie we've watched yet.
When did what year was Bond?
Let me see. Bond was 64, so this is the oldest film we've watched yet.
Fucking tight.
And I think you'll enjoy it. It's very you'll find out.
I'm excited.
It's short. It's very short. It's like 90 minutes. In fact, it might even be shorter.
Hell yeah.
Oh no, it's 90. Okay, it's 95 minutes. Black and white Japanese samurai film. So that's next time. And then next episode I'll reveal what we're watching after that. But until then, thank you so much for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Adios.
Meh.
Bye.